viewers, this is a special Valentine's Day episode, and with me on the studio today I have a lovely couple that I know you can't wait to meet. I'll let them do the introductions. Welcome to Talk with Mo, Tayo and Kunle. Please go ahead and introduce yourself to
Thank you so much for having us. Yes, my name is Tayo Abuaba.
Kunle Abuaba.
Yeah, I know you have to be very chill because my guest is sort of camera shy, but we're going to get the best out of him.
Yes.
So anyway, it's so lovely to have both of you here on this episode of Valentine's Day.
Special.
You know, it's special. It's always interesting when I speak with couples, and from one couple or the other, there's a Valentine's Day story for everyone. And some don't celebrate Valentine, others do, others are just like, whatever. If I remember, all the better. But what does Valentine mean for both of you?
I think for us, it doesn't really, I'm not gonna lie, we don't really celebrate it like that. I think we find throughout the year, we find ways to appreciate each other and just love on each other as much as we can. So Valentine's Day, just, I don't know, it's very commercialized and it's all about just buying gifts, buying chocolate, this and that and the other thing. And restaurants make a lot of money, you go out to eat and all that.
Absolutely.
So we don't really carve it out and like do anything special in particular for it. We do still say Happy Valentine's Day, but we don't really
do nothing beyond that. Kunle, this question is going to be for you.
Okay.
And the reason I ask this is because, I mean, dating as a young man, I know that most young men I speak to,
Okay.
the first headache they have is the girl they're dating is like giving them hell because they forgot Valentine's Day or they're not doing enough. Was that ever an issue when you were both dating?
I mean, okay, so for context, when we were dating, it was, for the most part, distance. So a little bit of backstory. Prior to moving to Canada, we were friends. We had been, at the time, I was just curious about knowing more about Canada. So I would ask questions around what's Canada like. I'd been to the US, so I wanted to kind of draw parallels with what I'd seen in the US. And then wanted to know things, basic stuff that I wanted to see in Nigeria that I never had access to easily. Things like, are there parks around? Is there a library that I can go to if I need to borrow books? And then when I moved to Canada, she was here initially in Newfoundland, then Ontario, but I was in Saskatchewan. So for the most part, it was distant. So we really didn't have to do Valentine. I mean, personally though, even if we're in the same geographical location, I doubt I would put a premium on it. Because I just feel, waiting to, again, no disrespect to those who celebrate it, I get it. But for me, it's similar.
Show your love.
Yeah, it's almost similar to things like Black History Month, where you wait for one time of the year to
celebrate.
What about the rest of the year?
For me, I'm just the kind of guy that if you're going to dote on someone, be consistent. And I don't think you should, because I've seen the fact that you probably will have to spend a lot of money and things like that. So for me, personally, I'm not a big fan, but I do understand the need to, because again, females and guys, we gotta think differently.
And it's interesting because I have always been I can't be bothered with Valentine's Day, which is what you're saying. But it looks that that is the kind of person you are as well, Timmy Tayo.
Yes. I think, I'll be honest, when I was younger, I think I did place a lot of emphasis on things like that. But I think it's because of your environment. It's what you see, social media, you go on Instagram, Facebook, everybody is showing off one Valentine's gift or the other that they had, or someone's talking about where they went and this guy did this for me and all of the above. So I think when I was younger, I think I placed more of, and I'll use your word, premium on it. But as I got older, I started to change a bit. Because I'm just like, why would you put so much emphasis on one day? And people usually do that. You put so much emphasis on the one day, and then the rest of the year is just kind of like, you know. And a lot of those people that are posting and things like that, like, the rest of the year, I don't think they're that happy, you know, with the relationship. It's just this, oh, yay, Valentine's Day, I got something, and let me, you know, show it off. And then the rest of the year is like, grumbling, you know. So, yeah, I think as I've aged, I've seen that it's more important to place emphasis on kind of appreciating each other in a relationship, appreciating each other on a day-to-day basis, you know. Call each other once in a while, send a text from work, hey, how are you doing, how's it going, things like that. I think is more the smaller stuff that is more consistent, like he said. It just seems like it's more meaningful
than the fluff around Valentine's Day. And it's interesting because really you're not like an older couple. It's not like you've been married for how long have you been married?
We've been married for 5 years, going on 6.
For 5 years. And truth be told, I counsel a lot of young marriages and I meet a lot of young couples, and this is one of the problems that they face in their marriage. It's about Valentine's Day, it's about Mother's Day, not getting a gift, or it's about the gift on special days. Has that ever been an issue in your own marriage?
It's a good question.
Okay, so for her, she's more of gift appreciation. For me, I couldn't care less, to be honest. You call me on my birthday, you don't call me, doesn't make a difference.
Do you remember your birthday?
I do, but I have never been one that really would take offense if you
don't go overboard.
It's so, and that can be a source of conflict because for her it's, oh, that's the way I show that I appreciate you. For me, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Because even for me, it's, as a person, I like things.
Just chill.
He's very chill. Very chill.
Because for me, if you're going to something on my birthday, you think of surprise, you think of a gift. I'm like, it's just too much burden.
Headache.
Right? And I've also seen instances where, with other folks, where if you're not able to live up to your own perceived ideal of what you want to do for that person, you then feel like you're falling short. And I'm like, why place that burden on
the other person?
But I do, for her, I've had to also kind of shift ground.
He tries.
to kind of meet her. So for her birthday, trying to figure out, because things like buying gifts, I'll be honest, man.
You're not gifted in that area.
I'm not gifted in buying gifts.
I'm not. So I try. I wouldn't say I'm good at it. It's not second nature.
But you just try.
I try. That much I'd say. But have I had to concede ground? Yes. I think she's also trying to kind of meet me
midway
to say, hey, I don't expect you to do so much.
No, I don't, really.
So there's no point for a surprise. It's another day. We'll go like any other one. And the routine is very simple. From 12 midnight, you start receiving text.
From everyone, from Nigeria and all.
I mean, I've never been one, and maybe it's just principles of how I just do things is, I don't think I need to, it's in the crunch moments of life that I've come to appreciate certain people. Not in terms of how frequent they are in my life, but the roles they've played are very pivotal moments. So I try to tell her the same thing, that it's not in those things that makes me appreciate you more. Yeah, it's nice. It's like you probably will have memories of a photograph you took on this milestone. But for me, when I think about it end to end, that's just one
thing out of the whole.
I would like to say though, I mean, we don't celebrate like I said, like Valentine and stuff, but like birthdays I feel are important because that's the day this person was born. Like it's their day essentially. Okay, fine. There's millions of other people born on that day, but at least this person
that is
exactly
your day.
it's your day. So I mean, for that one, I feel that one should be celebrated. But I also think of it in the way of people's love languages, right? If we think of it that way, I think we've both had to really sit down and be intentional in learning each other's love languages. I do like getting gifts. I do like being I don't expect anything huge. Like, go and pick a flower in the garden and bring it for me. Like, I would be so happy. Like, oh, this is so kind, because it just meant that you thought about me and you went and you did something for me.
That extra effort
exactly,
you put into it.
Exactly.
I know you think about me, but when you go and get a gift, a card, and say, I'm thinking about you, that's something.
Exactly. So for me, yes, I do like getting gifts, but I don't need anything elaborate. Like, honestly, give me one flower, even a dandelion, and bring it. I would be happy. But for him, gift giving is not his love language, right? So we tend to we tend to deal with people the way we want to be dealt with, right? Exactly. So you're usually speaking your own love language to people, right? So we've both had to really sit and, okay, this is what I like, but I don't think it's what he likes, So he's not really a gift person.
Yeah.
I tried to celebrate his birthday last year. It was a nightmare. He was so upset. I'm like, I've never met anyone that got so upset about a party. Like, are you kidding me? And it was a surprise. I got a cake, and it was in a house. It wasn't like I rented a hall or anything. I didn't go all out, but he was so uncomfortable. I don't like being in the spotlight. I don't want to. Why did you do this? It doesn't matter. It's just a day. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it was a milestone. We turned 40. So I was like, no, we need to celebrate it. So I think you just have to learn each other's love languages and see, what does this person actually like? You have to pay attention.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that was an instance. But I find that because it is your love language, you do the same for that person, but in return you are expecting, there's a certain expectation. And isn't that where the conflict arises? Where the other person does not reciprocate, and then it feels like, oh, they're falling short.
Yes.
And I'm so glad we're talking about this, because this is the trend in many homes. So that brings me to a question that I know that people are wondering, well, apart from this birthday, not understanding or not flowing with each other in the same birthday direction, what are the challenges in a young marriage? What are the challenges you have both experienced in
I guess for me, so again, we grew up quite differently. I was born and raised in Nigeria, moved here in my 30s. She left Nigeria very young. First to Europe and then to Canada. So first things first is we have slightly different worldviews. The one thing we share that's common is one, beyond the fact that we're Nigerians, is that cultural tie that comes from being Yoruba. At least we kind of understand some of the cultural values. Now, because we grew up differently, means that a part of her is, if I were to put ratios to it, I'd probably say she's probably 70% Canadian, 30% Nigerian. If I were to...
Wow.
And I say that, and the reason why I say that is, everything is forced through the lens of a Canadian first, with a Nigerian overlay. In my case, it's Nigerian first, with a Canadian overlay.
Give me an example of this thing, if you don't mind. I'm just wondering.
Let's have an example.
I'm just wondering.
Let's have an example.
Okay, so let's...
Can you recall one?
Actually, not right now, but he is right. Like, there are a lot of things that I think first about. Okay, actually, we were just driving up here and they were talking about developing a fix-it culture. In Nigeria, we don't throw anything away. You fix everything.
Yes.
For me,
that's one thing. So, stuff spoils at home. in Nigeria, you find a way to fix it. So sometimes after this, she tells me I'm very sentimental about things because I just keep them.
Keeps everything. It doesn't work anymore. Throw it away.
No.
I'll find someone to fix it or something.
Those things, and I mean, before we got married, there were things that we kind of discussed because it would be unfair of me to expect her to think fully like a Nigerian. And I also kind of made it clear to her also that, hey, I grew up in Nigeria. Yes, I had perspective of life outside of Nigeria, but you also have to understand.
This is your world outlook.
So, for example, even when I got my first professional job, I remember there was an issue at work that,
That's a good example, yeah.
by virtue of having in Nigeria, I worked in the financial services industry, and for folks who worked in banking in Nigeria, they probably would tell you that there's a level of toxicity that comes with that work environment that in some ways, and in fairness, I never really understood that until I moved here. We kind of normalized abuse. And I remember having to gist about what life was like you're at work, you go for certain meetings, there's certain commentaries that are made
your bosses will make.
Yeah, or your boss's boss makes you your boss, and you're like, well, Oga has spoken, so it's okay. And then I was then discussing those things with her, and she was like, "No, that's wrong." I'm like, "How do you mean it's wrong?" So an issue happened at work that I wasn't comfortable with. I remember then, we were still dating then, and it was over Skype. And I was saying that, Tayo, this stuff is what is happening. There's this person that said this, that acted in ways. I don't know what to do because if I speak, this is my first professional job. I'm just trying to get into the system. I don't want trouble. I'm the only black person in the office. I'm an easy target, blah, blah, blah. She was like, wait, that's wrong. Go to HR. I'm like, HR? You don't go to HR. You don't go to HR from where I'm coming from. You report to your boss in Nigeria, you are the one in trouble.
Yeah.
I know. And it took me a while to really understand.
Yeah,
so there
would take him a while.
There are certain things that I had to learn through her. Even as basic as, I remember the first dinner we had before we got married. And I was going to order steak. And again, the Nigerian would have called it steak. No, to be honest with you, I'll be honest. I mean, steak isn't the closest to steak. I might be wrong. Someone might call me, you're not bushy enough. That's fine. But steak isn't something you go to in a restaurant in Nigeria and
order. Yeah, that's true.
So I remember the first time I wanted to order steak, and I wanted because I would ask him. He asked me, "How do you want it?" And again, first time you be hearing that.
What do you mean?
And then I kind of asked her, "What does that?" She's like, "Oh, there's medium rare, there's rare, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, that's me well done." Like, no, well done is not. And I was like, "I would eat food with blood." You know. She kind of walked me through
the process.
So in some things, she's been the lens through which I view Canada.
But that's interesting, and I have to give it to you for your humility, because that's not the story I hear around.
Absolutely.
The fact that you're so willing to learn, the fact that you're so open and even make fun out of it and find, it's to be applauded. And that's why I asked, what challenges in a young married, knowing that you have different backgrounds, with a totally different world outlooks, yet you're making this work, but it goes a lot to talk about your personalities. But apart from your personalities, what is the one thing that is holding your marriage? What is faith?
Faith, definitely. He mentioned that we have, even though we're different, we grew up differently, we have certain things in common, and our culture is one, our language is one. Definitely our faith is probably number one out of the things that we have in common that has served us, outside of those other things. Being able to come together, even though we've just argued or we're upset with each other, being able to be okay, well, we still have to pray together, we still have to read the word together,
we have to pray together.
Exactly. That stuff really really does help, and being consistent with it even when you're pissed at the person, which does happen, right? So like, offense is gonna happen, you're gonna be upset at each other, you're gonna get angry with each other, but that you're all you have. Like, he's all I have, I'm all he has. Like, we've burnt our bridges, so this is it, right? And so we're just going back to God again and saying, Lord, there are situations that arise, and I'm like, listen, talk to your son.
Talk to your son.
Talk to him. You know, like, I am not.
It's not me.
It's not me. It's him. You gotta talk to him. You know, and I'm sure there are situations where he's like, you need to talk to your daughter. She's driving me crazy, you know? So things like that really help. So, you know, praying for each other separately, but also coming together and, you know, praying together. I always say you don't really know somebody's heart until you've prayed with them. Yeah, that's when people really, I mean, if they're free enough, you know, to really, like, get into it, like, you know, there are things when we're praying, he'll bring up, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't know he was thinking of that. You know, so then it helps me to say, okay, this is probably, in this area, he needs some assistance, or he needs help, things like that. So yeah, no, our faith is a really key part of our relationship. No, absolutely.
It's great to know. I mean, were there any surprises? Asking you, Kunle, first, and then I'll ask you, were there any surprises? I mean, dating, long distance dating is very different from even when you date, when you're in each other's faces. But now, coming together as man and wife, were there any surprises?
Oh, yeah. To say there were no surprises would be foolhardy. So for me, growing up, I grew up, the way my mom raised us was, irrespective of your gender, you had to be domestic. So from house chores and things along those nature. The one thing that was also quite surprising is that she's more of a night person. Like, she sleeps late. I'm an early sleeper at 9. Even my mom jokes about when I was right from the get-go. I
sleep early.
I wake up very early. And then the other thing is probably that I'm sure people are wondering, like, I'm more of the planner when it comes to money. She's more of the, let's just spend it. And I try to explain to her that by virtue of what I do, which is in IT where you're managing projects, there is a bit of the training that forces you to think of risk.
Risk, yes.
And I'm like, she complains sometimes, I'm like, when you manage your project, part of your responsibility is to ensure that you anticipate what can go wrong and put in mitigation plans. And I try to always explain that it's hard for me to separate Kunle the professional and
from
Kunle
the husband.
There are certain skill set that
intertwined. Yes.
It's similar to the way sometimes I'll joke about that. There are days I work where I feel like I'm attending to children. Not that.
I understand how you're managing.
The way I would look at a family member or my daughter and say, hey, okay, where that cement that they have, just to bring that part of empathy into your dialogue with colleagues. So it's the same way here. So because sometimes like, why you think it's so fine in the future? I'm like,
why you think it's so fine in the future?
Yeah, I'm like, it's not a case of me trying to be difficult. It's just conditioning over time. I mean, even the decision to leave Nigeria to come to Canada is a big risk. I literally had to leave everything behind, my network, my mentors, my family, and then just say, okay, up to the unknown, right? So that piece is something that I think I found surprising. That why would you not just know that you have to plan for the future? But it's like, no, you live in the moment.
You live in the moment. Now, and again, speaking to the different backgrounds you have. Because Nigeria, for example, will not take credit risk.
Yes.
But here, you're like, but that's how the system works.
Exactly.
Because I remember even when we were sitting and she talked about credit card, I'm like, hey, me take say. Now, apologies to viewers that don't know you or I will not go into debt.
I will not go into debt. Oh my goodness.
It was that sense of no. In this system,
this is how it works.
To access financial
services. Known, actually.
Yes.
I remember
to build your credit.
When I worked in financial services, credit was never part of the discourse. Even when we built technology solutions, you build for the people that have one. Even the closest stuff we did for lending was still tied to the last product I worked on. You have to tie to your salary in the bank that we can see. Right? So that was something that again I had to kind of say, okay, you know what? This is foreign territory. Put on your learning hat on and say, okay, you've been here much longer. Okay. How does this system work? Knowing the boundaries of
So it's cautious.
Yes.
So I'm learning, I'm willing to go on this ride with you, but let's be cautious.
Yes.
Again, it speaks a lot to that personality of yours, that you're willing to work this out. I'm willing to learn where I don't know, because some people don't know. They know that they don't know, but they'll never admit that they don't know. And so everyone's going down with them.
Fair enough.
So Timta, what surprises did marriage spring on you?
Surprises. I think for me, I underestimated what it meant to be a wife a little bit. And to be honest, I had spent like a lot of my, early adult years, late teens, kind of reading, you read books and you watch things, you talk to, uncles and aunties, but I think you just have to, it is. You just have to be in it. And the thing is, all the people you're talking to, they are married to not your husband. They're not married to your husband. So for me, I think I a little bit underestimated like the responsibility and the gravity of it. Even more after I became a mom. I was just like,
I was going to ask, now that you're a mom.
Yes, I was just like, whoa, this thing is even though like he's not stickly in terms of you have to come home at this time or whatever, like, but I still, all of a sudden you just have that sense of responsibility. Like I can't just go out with my friends and come back at 12. Like you just can't do that. Even though he would never say, oh, you have to be home at some whatever time, you just all of a sudden you just know, like, I don't think I can do that anymore, So that was a little like, oh man, this feeling is coming on. I have to just change, and you have to kind of give up a bit of ground. So I think I underestimated that a little. In terms of him in particular, I had no idea how fun he could be, because a lot of times, and I guess maybe that's because a lot of our dating was long distance. It could have been that, but he's quite playful, and I didn't know, so that was a nice surprise. I don't think there was anything that I would say would be like, oh my god, this is so horrible, like I had no idea this was gonna be like this or anything like that. No, I don't think there was anything that was like really that surprising for me. We think differently, especially about money. That was that was quite something. But he already mentioned that. But I think over the years, I've learned to look at things from his perspective a lot. And it's really helped me, actually, not just like in our marriage, it's helped me in other spheres of my life as well. Trying to like see things from think the way he thinks. The way he thinks is very holistic. He's very cerebral. It's fascinating. And so kind of being with someone like, and for me, I've always been kind of like one way, I mean, med school is just, you just do this. You pretty much thought how to think unidirectionally, but for him, it's kind of like 360, and you're like, whoa, okay, now I understand what you're saying. But the whole planning thing, he's like, no, we have to plan. I'm like, so you mean we can't just like blow a bunch of money and go on holiday?
No, we can't. No.
Okay.
Especially now that there's a baby.
Yes.
No, we can't.
That. I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, if you say so, okay. Yeah. So those are the things that I think were, for sure, it was like that sense of you have to be responsible now. That one was quite big for me. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you both for being so honest and being so vulnerable. I'm sure a lot of people have learned a lot from you.
Hope so.
We can only continue to pray. We don't wish, we pray the best, very best for you. And I know that we'll be here to celebrate your 10th and your 20th anniversary. And we can showcase all of that to our guests as well. Any word of advice for a new marriage?
I don't know if it's, okay, so I'd say, I don't think as a person I'm in a position to give words of mouth when it comes to marriage. The only thing I'd say...
Still feel we're too young.
Yeah. Because I still feel there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But I do think that personally, social media isn't helping.
No.
For me personally, it's not just about marriage. I think this alternate universe that's depicted, I think it puts too much pressure that even when you're doing your best, because you're benchmarking against an ideal that isn't real, you're almost bound to fail.
Yes.
And again, I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not.
You don't have to be one.
But that pressure.
That is breaking down a lot of marriages because they are comparing themselves with these ideals that are not real.
And then for me, the other thing is trust God. The reality is, I'll be very honest, as much as I plan not because I have the answers. I just want to be able to tell myself I've done my best. God, there's a piece of this I will never figure out. But I cannot, she knows, I always tell her, I cannot go to God without a plan. It's just fundamental for the way I see life. I cannot abdicate any responsibilities to God.
God will not do for you what you can do for yourself.
So that's almost the approach. So and it applies to everything, and particularly my, there's any things I know I will not get right. But I was like, God, I have tried my best, but please, for the places where I'm blindsided, but you understand, just figure it out. So that piece, just knowing that, okay, if everything were to go sideways, there's still God to rely on. How it will show up, I don't know. But at least I will be able to say, you know what, I did my best because it went sideways, but help pick me up. That's, knowing that kind of gives the assurance that, okay, let's go again. Let's go again. That's just me, but for me to, if I need to anchor it on two things, is don't believe everything you see. Trust God.
Nicely put. Nicely put. I think for me, there's only one thing that I would say. I hear a lot of and see a lot of people getting married or going into relationships with plan B. Yeah, that's not going to serve you. Yeah, that's
so right from the get-go, there's a plan B. If
right
this
from the
doesn't
get-go,
work out.
Exactly. This doesn't work out. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I can't do that. Maybe I can get divorced, right? That's not going to serve you. There's a way that your mind, there's a way you think, there's a way your mindset is in a marriage when you know that you have burnt your bridges. And I use that term in the beginning. Yes. You burn your bridges. When you cross over it to meet each other, burn it. Burn the bridges, and know that there is no plan B, and know that this is the person you've chosen. They've chosen you, and ride or die.
This is it.
Ride or die. This is it. Yeah. Definitely trust God, because things will come up in marriage that you'll be like, okay, how do we fix this when Jesus take the wheel?
Jesus take the wheel.
So definitely trust God. Burn your bridges and trust God. Yeah.
So grateful that you both came on
Thank
this
you for
show.
having us. Thank you.
I have learned so much from you myself, and I know that our viewers have learned a lot. You both are just so inspiring. Yes, you might be young in marriage, but you're sounding like you're 50 years in marriage.
Oh my goodness.
Thank God for that.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's not coming out of, but your humility and your willingness to work this out is so obvious, and all we can say is may God bless your marriage.
Amen.
And may God bless both of you.
Amen.
So thank you all for coming, and happy Valentine's Day. However you celebrate Valentine, whether you celebrate it or not, please take the time to show your partners, your wives, your husbands, every day that they mean a lot to you. Do not wait for February next year. There's tomorrow. There's the day after Valentine's. And you know what? Love lasts when love cares. So until on that note, you take good care of yourself, and I'll catch you later. God bless you. Bye now.